Hi everybody. Sorry, I'm just adjusting you slightly. Hopefully tonight you can see a difference in the light because I have added yet another light. So just what I want in this phenomenal heat. I've now got loads of lights. Now most of them are LED, so technically they shouldn't be kicking off heat. But I am still cooking, so I don't know how long tonight's live is going to be. So, as you join in, if you can give me a thumbs up and a howdy do and a all that sort of cracking jazz, and then we'll get started. I am just setting up the tablet now so I can see your comments, and then we will crack on. So, how are you? Because obviously I didn't do one last week, did I? Because we were pony clubbing. Oh yeah, that does definitely look a bit lighter, doesn't it? Oh, that's cracking, that is. I'm ever so chuffed. Very, very good. Right. Okay. Oh look, there's me. I'm talking. That's just not good. Talk to myself enough without doing it on a live. Right. Okie dokie. So tonight on Try It Out Tuesday, thank you so much for joining me. I'm fully aware of how hot it is. And I am cooking in my little room. So we'll just see how we get on. If I reach a point where I think I'm going to pass out, I'll just stop. Or if I just go really quiet, go off and do something else. Okay. So tonight I thought what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a play with the Dina Wakley gloss sprays. Okay, now I know Jane's done some info on these as well, but this is going to be my first play with them. So if there is anything, so I've picked me 3 of the new pastels colours and my marine, which I really like because I think it works with them. So if there's anything in particular you'd like to see, let me know and I will try and do that as well. Okay, yeah, it is ridiculously hot, I know. I'm so sorry. If you go quiet, you'll take Sam and Mum. Yeah, because the problem is, Dave's gone out with Abby to do evening animals. And Caitlin's not going to save me, is she? Right. So let's get started. The Dina Wakley gloss sprays. Okay, they are absolutely beautiful. Okay, I've obviously I watched Jane's lives that she did for us here on YouTube, here on Facebook, which I will be putting on YouTube. I can't remember if I have, but I will be putting on that on YouTube as well as this as well. So please make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Now we're going to be using the Mineral, the Carnation and the Aloe, which is 3 of the new colours, okay, and the Marine, which is one of the original 12. Now there are 8 new colours, 6 of which are pastels, and then we have the 2 metallics. We have Gilt and Medieval, okay, so we have those metallics that you can add in as well. Alright, and so let's get into it. There's several things with your Dina Wakley sprays. So these, they're an acrylic paint. Okay, they're a paint spray. So they're not like your oxides. They're not like your dilutions. They're not like your spray stains. They're not like that because they're an acrylic. Okay. Now what that means is, it means several things. One, they are really opaque, which is great. They are a gloss, so you get that sheen finish. But what it also means is it is plastic. So please make sure that you are cleaning off your nozzles after you spray. Make sure you keep your lids on. I mean, you know what I'm like with my just dilutions ink. There you go, I've got one there and it doesn't have the lid on. Keep your lids with these. Keeps the air out, keeps them from drying out. Okay, so you need to keep your excess off. Okay, that's the biggest thing in terms of looking after them and making sure they work as well as they can. Okay, so like I said, there's 20 colours now. You've got the original 12 and the new 8. So there's lots to choose from. So the original colours, you've got your cheddar in there. You've got some really sort of intense colours, whereas the new ones are pastel or metallic. So what we're going to do is you do get different effects on different surfaces. Okay, I did mean to gesso some things earlier, which I didn't do, so we'll just be going on to some different cardstocks. and we might have a play in our journals and whatever. So what we're going to do is really just have a look at how they work on different surfaces, okay? Because that's cool, and we've all got different surfaces to work on. All right, so what we're going to do first is I'm going to get my painty board that I use. Now this is one of the brown non-stick craft sheets that I stuck to a clipboard. Okay, don't ask me why, I just liked it. I thought it was good because I stuck it down so it's flat, and obviously I've got my other non-stick sheets on heavy boards for prep boards. It's just something I like to do. Now my blending mat, although fab, you know, and you can scrape acrylic off it if you want to, I figure I might as well just keep it clean. But I use this for blending ink on, because it's a lighter colour, so you can see the inks better as to what colour they actually are. So when people ask me why, that's why. All right. So, right, first of all, you can do these. So I'm just going to work on, so these are just some postcards from the post office, the blank postcards. So they're quite a porous surface. I've got some gloss card that I want to play with as well, okay? I am starting to think that the pastels might have been a bad mistake, actually, to show on a live, but it's alright, we'll go with that. Right, first thing you want to do is we want to shake them up. Because if you look, you have the sort of white residue at the bottom. So, like with any acrylic paper, you can hear you've got a mixing bowl in there. So just give them a really good mix up before you use them, okay? Because that's what we want. We want nice mixy, 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 mixy. Alrighty. Yes, and some black card. We will do some black card, absolutely. So we'll just get started on these first. So yeah, so I've got the carnation, the aloe, the mineral, and the marine for a bit more intense colour if we want that. Okay, so get my microfiber ready so I can wipe the nozzles. And we're just going to spray. So like I say, this is my first go, okay? So the good thing is you'll be able to judge straight away, because it's not like I've practiced. I've literally just taken the plastic off these. Okay. So you can see, it's going to need a little bit more pink, isn't it? Oh yeah. So you can see when these are wet, because these are quite pale, I'm going to get you down. Okay, when these are wet, they do merge and blend together, okay? Which is really, really cool. Now, if you are working on a gessoed surface, say you've gessoed your card, so you can see it's absorbing. Hang on, I'm going to lift you back down. Okay, so you can see it's absorbing into the card there. Okay, because it's really absorbent. That's so cool. Okay. Now, if you're going onto a gessoed surface, it will actually resist a little bit and give you a different texture, which is ace. It's just a different thing. So you can really sort of play with that. It doesn't take a massive amount of time to dry, so we will just, like I said, this is quite thin. But we are going to just mop up our excess with some of that. Okay. Now, if I was to go on to some glossy card, so this is actually, that piece is dirty is what that is. This is actually like Epsom photo paper, so it's like really, really glossy card. Okay, so I actually don't know what's going to happen here, so we're just going to spray that on. There you go, so you get a little bit more of that resist. You can see it's doing that circly thing. That's what it does on gessoed cardstock, okay? So you can see those little circles and cells that are opening it up? Because when it's wet, it does blend together a little, but not a lot. It does sort of resist itself, which is really, really awesome. And it does that even more so, like if you leave it to dry between layers, okay, which is really cool. Okay, can you mop these up? Absolutely, you can totally mop these up. I am wishing I'd got some linen cardstock ready. But I'll grab my little journal, because this is what I always use to mop up, isn't it? So, absolutely mop. Okay. And you can smoosh with them. You know how much I like to smoosh with my Distress, for example. Okay. I'm going to use a slightly stronger colour. I haven't wiped my nozzles, so I am going to do that first, just in case I choose not to use a colour for a minute. So, wipe your nozzles, because it just makes them spray better, longer, and whatever, and that's what we want, isn't it? Okay. So I'm going to use another bit of that glossy. Okay, and I'm going to go on. This is with my marine, and then I'm going to go on with the mineral there, and then, well, that's cool, isn't it? So that's with the aloe, and again, now I think we can agree that one is very, very cool. That is a really cool background. Now what you can also do with these is you can do prints, okay? So you could take another piece of card. Now if you're using an absorbent card, you want to do this quite quickly, because like we say, it's an acrylic, which means it's a plastic, which means it can stick stuff together, okay? So you want to do this quite quickly, and then, okay, so you can get prints. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? You can see those sort of cells I was telling you about are really starting to appear on those. Now that is a proper funky background, isn't it? Okay. That is a proper funky background. Stevo, it just washes off like acrylic, okay? So, for example, have inky or painty hands ever bothered me? No. However, block nozzles do. And like I've just said, my darling, you know, apart from a little blast of marine that has gone into one of my journals, this is my first proper play with them. So I will let you know on the hand cleaning front later. Okay, but you can see these prints. I mean, how cool are they? You know, in terms of easy background, you can't really, you know, that background would look brilliant with Jane's new stamps. Absolutely. I think that's the thing with these, you know, Jane's new stamps with Sam's seahorse on top. You know, absolutely ace. Right, okay. That is so lush. I just want to look at that now. I really do. Because that is just so pretty. Okay. I'm going to get some more glossy card, because I actually like the look on that. Now, I'm not saying you have to use glossy card, but I would possibly use something that is primed, because that's the really absorbent one. Or something that's just a better quality. To be honest, that's the absorbent win finish, which isn't bad. That isn't bad at all. I quite like that. Okay, so let me just push that to the side. So we'll add some more to these prints in a bit. Okay, and then what we'll do is we'll use this piece as a mop-up. So, oh, look at that. That is so ace. Oh, wow. Right. I think what I want to do next... Where's my microfiber? I think what I want to do next is mix some... Right, now I am regretting not being greedy and taking lots of colours. I only bought me a few colours today. Because I was trying to be good and make sure the stock levels were right in the shop and the stock levels were good, so I was trying to be well behaved. I'm now regretting that grown-up decision that I made, and I'm now wishing I had lots more colours, especially a yellow. I am wishing I had a yellow. But, you know, that's not your issue at all. So yes, right, where was I? There was lots of things I wanted to show. Yeah, so you can see, so I'm just going to bring this one back in that we did to start. Okay, so this one had the blue and the pink and the green. So it had the aloe, the mineral and the carnation. Now, if you are mixing a pink and a green, which is basically red, yellow and blue, so all three of the primary colours, in your inks, okay, you are going to get mud. You do get a brown muddy colour. Now with your gloss sprays, that doesn't happen as much because they sort of push each other back. They'll mix a little but not much, so they do sort of push each other back. As you can see with the cells that are on our prints, okay? I'm so loving that. So you can see with the cells and everything that are on our prints. So that is quite cool. So that's a really good thing. All right. Now, so we've done our prints. Okay, what else can we do? What else can we do? We can brayer. Okay, so what we're going to do, I'm going to have so many prints. Look, I've already got a little pile of prints all round me. That's happy, that is, isn't it? Right. So, from here, what we're going to do is we're going to do some brayering, okay? But we're only going to brayer a little bit. So I'm going to go on there, and I'm going to brayer up the card a little, okay? Now, you will want to wash your brayer, wash your templates after you, because it's an acrylic, okay? So you do want to do that. You're just going to brayer that, and I almost think that gives it sort of like an encaustic art sort of texture, doesn't it? It's sort of got that stripy encaustic art on it. So I'm going to leave that to dry a little. Okay, so would the Yupo cardstock work? I know it's designed for alcohol ink. Yeah, absolutely. The Yupo would work, and the alcohol ink cardstock. I actually couldn't find mine, which is why I just grabbed this glossy. And like I say, gessoed cardstock in your journals, anything that's primed, I think that would work as well. And I do think the media cardstock. Let me see if I can grab some of my media tags, because I did find them. But where did I put them? This is the problem when I've been out of my craft room for a week. Okay, so, and obviously, let's just get in obvious just for a sec. Let me move that to the side. You've obviously got your media journals, okay? So, if you're going to go to, so this is the sort of cotton cardstock. Now, if you've got the little 6x6 one that Sam's got as well, you've got that really, really heavy duty watercolour card. Okay, and that stuff is amazing. Now, when Dina is working in her journals, she's very much a less is more person. Yeah, I could take some real good lessons for her, okay? It dries super quick, yeah. So, you've got these, all right? So, this is the black media journal. Okay, so you've got lots of different textures in here. Now you've got the linens. Now, okay, this is sort of like the burlap. Now, because it's a paint in the spray, obviously you can go on here, okay? So you can go on, okay? And then you could go on with your carnation, and then just sort of filter out with your mineral, and then just have a little bit of a, okay, so that's on there, and it's gone a little bit through, but I did go a little bit thick, but that's absolutely fine. So what you could do then, see, I said to you it was sticky, didn't I? That's why I said to you work quickly. It's alright, it's fine, I'll stick some over it. So on the I'll work straight across on the other side. This is because I've got a very tiny space available on my desk right now. So we'll go straight onto the cardstock on this side. And again, what we'll do is we'll start with the carnation. Okay, and then we'll put a couple of the marine in there. And then the mineral. Look at that. And then some of the aloe on there. And this is the thing, you can really pool it if you want to, so it does muddle up a little bit. But you can see, okay, so I've just put that carnation straight on top of the marine. Okay, and it's mixing a little, but they're sort of pushing against each other. They're not actually making purple. They're pushing against each other, which is really cool. Alright? And that's what we like. Cool, cool, cool effects. Alright? You want to go and play with your sprays now? Yes, but will you actually melt, Louise? That's the problem. Okay, sorry, I'm just wiping my nozzles. See, you guys didn't know I could actually even work tidy. Right, so let me lift you down. So you can see, they're sort of pushing, there you go, it's pushing against each other. And that's it on the, so you can see you do get a sort of matte look on here. And then, but you look through that cardstock, look, you can't see anything through the cardstock. Oh, see, you've got a nice run there where I just lifted up the page. Oh, that's going to look nice. I'm just going to hold that up and just let it run down just a little bit more, because that is going to look really pretty. Okay, so if you wanted, for example, to add in some more of those aloe runs, okay, you could just hold it up and put those aloe runs, because look at it, pushing the pink out the way, pushing the carnation out the way that isn't yet dry, and pushing the marine there. It's created sort of like a feathering effect. These are very cool. So yeah, I think we can easily see from here, they are not the same. They are not the same as any of your ink sprays. Okay, so I'm going to move that out the way to dry, and we might come back to that a bit later. Okay, so what I'm really doing is focusing on technique. But here you can see, okay, so that's ripped some of the cover off my journal because I sat it on. And that's what I meant when I was saying it gets sticky. So make sure, you know, if you are doing prints, that you pull them apart. Now look at this print here, how this is drying. Isn't that just something else? Isn't that just something else? That is very, very cool. Okay, so we're going to continue to leave that to dry. Now this is on that postcard, and I love it. It's sort of soft but pliable, and then still got that bit of sheen on from the gloss spray. That's really funky. I might die cut something out of that. Right, see, I've got excited by them in my, absolutely, of course you can die cut it. With normal acrylic paint, in all honesty, darling, it is acrylic, but it's not a normal acrylic paint because it's suspended to make a gloss spray. So it's not the same thing, and if you tried to spray a regular acrylic paint, you would just probably get a blocked nozzle. If sticky, will it stick your journal bills together if not dry? Yes, it will. If it's sticky, your journal has to, if it's wet, your journal has to stay open. Okay? It has to stay open. Okay? Wicked. Right, now, I'm hoping this brayery one's dry. Yeah, that brayery one's dry, because what I want to show you is, so you saw how it's sort of pushing, you can see how it sort of pushes itself out the way when it's wet. Okay, so what we want to do is see how it reacts to this now it's dry. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some of the carnation. I'm going to spritz that on there. Okay, and you can see what's dry is really resisting. Okay, it's really sort of pushing that carnation back out to where it's allowed to sit. It's still doing it, it's still doing it. Now in fairness, if you wanted to, you could go in with a cloth or something and lift, and you will see it lifts so easily off where it was, what's already dry, whereas it sort of wants to stick to where it wasn't. If that makes sense. So that's pretty cool, isn't it? Yeah, exactly, Louise. It definitely different effect on gesso. The reason I haven't got anything gessoed is because I was rubbish and didn't gesso anything. Right. So, like I was saying earlier, if you are using templates, please make sure that you clean them after. Okay. I'm going to go to my big ones, abstract circles. I'm going to do a couple of different things. Okay, so we can see them differently. Where's my little... Oh, that all fell down. There's a little mop-up sheet. Here we go. So you can see it's really starting to, where it's starting to dry on here, it's going to need scraped off. Okay. So, templates. I'm going to use my Inkables big one. Okay, so I'm going to do two things. I want to show you just it through there. Okay. So that's it, just on the cardstock straight on. But obviously what you can do is you can take one of your prints and spritz over the top, and you will get this sort of funky sort of pooling effect. Okay, but what you can also do then, see, I was going to go on that, but I really don't want to. You can also do the reverse, which obviously I love to do, don't I? Because and then you've got your gloss spray there. Okay. That ink will make your eyes go funny. So, does force drying change the formula for drying? Well, let's have a little look, shall we? I think it does change it a little. It's like if you're painting with your Dilutions paint. If you force it dry and leave it to dry, you do get a slightly better result. Not to mention the fact I am trying to avoid using my heat gun. So thanks for that, Sam. Okay. Yeah, so in all honesty, from what I can see, it makes it go really tacky. Like really tacky. So you would still need to leave it to dry for it to become actually smooth. Because that actually makes it stickier. And look, and then it lifts off anyway. So I would say if you can, leave it to dry. That would be my recommendation. Okay, right. So but I will take advice on the subject, and I will actually send a message to Dina and ask her, because she would know. Right, now, so we've done brayering, we've done prints, we've done through templates, we've done, right, is that dry? Yeah, that's dry. Okay, so because what I want to show you is we're going to do a little bit more resist on here. Okay, so if you spray that on there, so that's your mineral, you can see it's pushing the pink out the way. It's pushing that carnation right out the way so that you can still see the template underneath. So you can use it through a template as a resist to what you're going to put over the top to create different texture layers and things like that. They made me put the heat gun on Louise. I know, I could have died. Right, so, is anyone else amazed that I am actually still cleaning the nozzles? I know I am. Right, so, we have a lot of prints here to look at, but there was something else I wanted to show you, and now I'm trying to remember what it was. Okay. Right. Can I just say, I had lots of plans to do things over the top of this print, and whatever, but I'm probably not going to do that because I love it. So I'm just going to look at it for a while and then I'll decide to do something with it at a later date because it's just too pretty. And that's all I have to say about that, in the words of Forrest Gump. Right. So, but yeah, it's tacky. It's not, I mean, that one's not now, that's quite smooth. So this is why you need to make sure you get it off your stencils, okay? But we're going to carry on because there's a couple of other things I wanted to show you too. Louise, you clean yours too? Yes, I know you do. You're cleaning, I'm going to say it, weirdo. I'm on my page, so I can call you a weirdo. Guys, for those of you that don't know, and I imagine you all do, Louise Sims, she does Ranger demos and the Sakura pen demos on her channel. Now, what Louise also is a very neat crafter. After every project, she tidies away. Weirdo. Just very strange woman. I don't know how to talk to her a lot of the time. Right. Here's just a mixy mottled one that we made at the beginning. Right. And I'm going to get one of my texture stamps. And I'm going to get an acrylic block. Okay. Now, they do say foam stamps are really good for this, but I figure if I use some Versamark on here, and we clean our stamp straight away after, it should all be fine. So I'm going to put some of the marine onto my mats. Okay, and then we're going to coat our stamp in it, she says, hopefully. Oh, that's not bad. Now, in fairness, it's just sort of working as a circle at this point, but that's okay. So you could use, I'm not really getting the texture, but it is enabling me to add on some other bits. So that's going to require a bit of practice because it is so liquidy. Let me just try, I've wiped some of the Versamark off. No, it is quite liquidy. But I can see why it would work really well with your foam stamps because it would absorb it a bit. But obviously you can use some of your shaped stamps just to create more on there. That's cool. As it gives a glossy effect. What card are you using? I'm using a photo card, Louise. It gives a glossy. What ink would you use to stamp with? I would possibly say archival. There's my little mucky bit. But we'll have a quick practice with some other ones. Right. I don't have anything dry enough to stamp on now. Oh, that's dry enough to stamp on. Right, so I would probably think archival is going to be your best bet. Right, so let's have a look. So, not a massive fan of archival, but sometimes it's the only thing for the job. Okay. So that's your archival. VersaFine Claire. Ah, but I am on glossy cardstock. But there's the funny thing, it's sticking fine to where the gloss sprays are. So therefore it would be fine to stamp on the gloss sprays because it's sticking fine to that. It's where it isn't on glossy cardstock. So yeah, that's probably a rubbish bit to practice on, isn't it? I just can't do it. That's alright, we'll keep practicing on that bit for now. Okay, and then we'll go with our VersaFine. Okay, and then we'll do a little quick memento. Yeah, archival. I am getting better with archival inks because I think the problem was I didn't use them enough, and then I got my archival minis, and now I play with them a lot more. So that's why that stamp's better, I think, because I've actually got used to playing with them. Yeah, archival's the one, dudes. But I think your VersaFine Claire would be fine if it was on like if it was a solid gloss sprayed background. I think you'd be all right there. I do. Right, let me just give that a quick spritz. Right. So, move that out of the way. Okay, so you can lift it off the mat like Distress. We've done that. We've done paper prints. We've done templates. We've done stamping with basic shapes. We've done brayering. Okay. How it resists when it dries, which is that one, but you can really see it now it's drying. How that pink has resisted, how the carnations resisted the mineral really well. That's so gorgeous. Right, okay, and one of my favouriteest things to do, and I do this mostly with white linen dilution spray, don't I? I do it a lot, is droplets. Okay. Oh, stained. Honestly, Rosie, leave it. Sorry, darling. I'm just sorry, dears. I'm just looking at the comments. Rosie, stained stamps. Do not worry about stained stamps. They're absolutely fine. Honestly, your clear polymer stamps, they will stain with archival inks. Don't worry about it. It's not a problem. You're not hurting them. They're absolutely fine. Okay? Do you know what stamps love? Ink. They love it. They love ink. Ink 'em, use 'em, ink 'em, use 'em, ink 'em, use 'em. Why do you think all my stamps are dirty? It isn't just because I'm lazy and don't like to clean them. It's also because the more you ink them, the better they get. Polymer, your clear polymer, anything. Now, honestly, obviously, like the silicone ones you get cheap on magazines and stuff like that, they will break down over time. They just will. But your clear polymer, yeah, absolutely fine. Well, ours anyway. I can't speak for everybody's, obviously. But ours, yeah, they're fine. Staining, deaf. It's all right. It just means they're loved and well used. Okay. Right. So, what we're also going to do is do some droplets. Okay. This is something I love to do in my journals. I do it all the time. In fairness, I keep changing my mind. So, for example, if we just go, yeah, see that one, no one's allowed to touch that one. So let's just stop talking about that one. Okay, so if you're in your journal and you wanted to add some paint splashes, there you go. So take your tubey out and just tap it, and then you ain't got to clean nozzles either. Okay, and you'll see it'll bleed into where it's still wet if you want that effect, or if it's dry, you'll just get droplets, which is absolutely fantastic. Okay, stays on. I would make sure I clean from my stamps, Steve-o. To be honest, I wouldn't worry if it stains it, but I would make sure I clean it off. Okay. So, yeah, okay, Rosie, yeah. So look, those are, see that was stamped stained green, and that's from a mini archival. And then others are just black because I don't scrub them when I clean them. It's a get the surface mess off. Right, so you've got that. So someone said, I think it was Lee's, about MDF. So I've got some unprimed MDF here, which means it is going to be absorbent. Okay, so we're going to take our marine and we're going to spray that on. Okay, look at that. Easy peasy, gloss coverage over your MDF. Let me clean that nozzle. I will say, this was my first one, the marine, and I did forget to clean the nozzle straight away. So what I did was, I wiped it off as best I could, and then put it on top of a mister and sprayed it out, and that was about 2 days later. So, but look at that. Look at that. Gloss coverage over my MDF tag. Yeah. Focus. There we go. Look at that. Ace! Okay. So, that's on the MDF. Yeah, use the white one for splashes, but I don't have a white one. Any chance of adding a wish list function to the website, please? So that is a really good. Now is a really good time to ask. We are currently having a new website built, so that is something I can speak. It's not going to be ready for ages yet, so you're fine. But I will speak to them and see if a wish list function is something we can do. Okay, I love that stamp the film strip. Yeah, it's really, really cool. So yeah, so make sure you use for splashes as well, you know. So this is the thing. Well, in fairness, it's one of those things, isn't it? I use, so for example, so this is still drying. So you could put some in there. Look at that. And because it resists, because the gloss spray resists itself, look, it pushes itself out and creates these little cells. It's kind of like a paint pour, but not. So you could cover it with your, for example, your marine, and then you could go in with some of your pastel colours and push them out. See, I told you I need a yellow. That would look so good with the lemon or the cheddar. Well, cheddar's more orangey, I think. But look at that. Da da da. Right, okay, you could get obsessed doing that, I'm telling you now. That is risky. Tilt it towards you, see a mirror reflection of you. No, that is not a good look right now. No, 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 Steve-O. Okay. So, I'm just going to lift this down again. Look, so now I have the desk light, and now I have a new circle light. I have that light, and I have my big LED light up there. So I was hoping it would be lighter, but I am wondering if that is just a bit too much. Let me just turn that off for a second, and that off for a second. There we go. You see how that's... It's still shiny. Shiny! Isn't that cool? You can sort of see my reflection a little bit there. Whee! There we go. There's me. So it's just another way of using them, and this is what I always say is important, isn't it? When I'm showing you guys new products, especially, it's important for us when we're getting new product in, or when we're looking at product and whatever. It's very important that it does a lot. It's why we love stamping, because you can do so much with it. And I've said this before, and I'm going to repeat myself, and I'm going to keep saying it until it becomes my catchphrase. No, not really. You know, that's why we love stamping, because it does a lot. So when we have things like the gloss sprays come in, and we've got to know it does all the fantastic things that we want it to do, and maybe a couple more, because that way it's a good product. It's a good product for you to have on your shelf, because it's something different. It can do more things and what have you. So for me anyway, the gloss sprays are a big thumbs up, because They're acrylic. They're not like acrylic paint, so you wouldn't get the same results with acrylic paint because they're sort of plasticky. And I think that's where the tacky comes from. I think when they're really dry to the core dry, they won't be quite as tacky. Where's my little mop up? I think I might have to do another one because that one's looking a bit full. So you can really do that with them. And because of that acrylicness, you know, if you then wanted to go in with some of your other sprays that are your inks, you know, that have got a different opacity to them, you know, that's really going to work. You're going to be able to use that in lots of different ways because, you know, as well, they've got to work with the products you already have, haven't they? Because otherwise that's rubbish. Look at that tag. I'm going to add a few more. It's got a little bit of the old nebula about it, hasn't it? I'm going to add a couple more things. Now it's drying off a bit. I'm going to add a couple more of those. And a couple more of the aloe. So yes, so I'm very impressed with the opacity of the pastels. I was worried you wouldn't be able to see much. But I think you can see how good these colours are. And well, obviously the maroons are not a pastel, but you know, the others are the pastels, and I think they work really, really well. So, thank you very much for joining. What's the time? How are we doing for time? Oh, I didn't realise I'd been on so long, truth be told. So thank you very much for joining me on this exceedingly hot Tuesday. We are back, like I said, we are back now working at full capacity. So if you were expecting a response to any messages or emails, and I haven't done that, resend it. Because I think they're all done. So if I haven't replied, I've missed you. So send it. If you have anything you would like to see us get in or develop, then as always, please get in touch. shop@becrafty.net, or you can message us on here. Please follow us on YouTube and Instagram, because I don't always put the same thing everywhere, because sometimes I forget or I get distracted, which is normally what happens. Oh, shiny. And that's me. Train of thought completely gone. So thank you very much. Dates for your diaries. Jane is on her Chanda on Thursday with a beautiful new collection of cone flowers. I am on her Chanda next Friday with something else that's new. That's all I'm saying at this point, because we're going to concentrate on Jane's cone flowers for this week. So thank you very much for joining me, guys. I hope that was helpful. I hope it was informative. And if you have any more questions, please get in touch. All right, guys, have a great evening.